If you are tired of living paycheck to paycheck and wondering where all your money is going, then this episode is for you. Today, we are diving into a game changer, how cutting the little things in life like daily coffee runs and forgotten subscriptions can save you big money over time. Stick around and we're going to uncover hidden costs, share practical tips for trimming expenses, and explore how these small changes can lead to financial freedom. Trust me, these little adjustments can make a huge difference in your financial life. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Financial Mirror. Where future success is reflected in our knowledge of fixing the one thing we can control, ourselves.
Welcome to the Financial Mirror, and thanks for joining me today as we continue to work to improve the one thing we can control, ourselves. Here at the Financial Mirror, it is not about the numbers and spreadsheets alone, but about transforming and educating you on money so that you can make smarter financial decisions. If this is the first time you are joining in, don't forget to hit subscribe on YouTube to be notified of all the new episodes as they release. If you are listening to this on Rumble, go ahead and like and follow the channel. If you're on any of the podcast platforms out there, like and share the episode. I am really excited about this and mostly from the simple fact that I was very unsure if I was going to be able to record this or not. I got the little seasonal sickness and man, I was coughing, it was hacking, and I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to record this episode. I'm not gonna be able to do anything with it, but that's okay. We're here, we made it, life goes on. So today we are talking about how people can live paycheck to paycheck, but yet continue to spend on the little things, right? And I want to go over today, and this is not a long episode. This is not a difficult episode, but what I want to go over today is how if you will just simply start to think through cutting out the little things in your life, you can stop living paycheck to paycheck. And I'm going to give you some practical tips on what you can do, maybe how to think about that. And then what is the overall end goal, when that happens. Some people are just like, well, I don't know exactly what I need to do next, So hopefully at the end of this episode, you have a good grasp on kind of what I'm going to scope this in and let you think through exactly what I'm going to go over, or let you kind of think on it, see how it applies to your life, but then more importantly, help you identify and understand what these small expenses are, and then give you some strategies to start to cut back and save. Because if you can start to cut those little things in life, you can start to make drastic steps in the right direction for your financial future. So the first place that I wanted to start with was identifying and understanding small expenses. Now, when we think through this, I really boiled it down for this episode to three categories. Three categories that will more than likely land somewhere in your life, and maybe all three of them do. And if all three do, there's a great opportunity for you to cut. And I'm going to kind of go in order of what's probably applicable to most, ending with the grand finale of where I think you can make the biggest impact. So the first one that I think falls into a lot of people's, wheelhouse, but not everyone's, is the daily coffee runs, right? I think that this is probably one that many people are into, but not everybody spends a ton on coffee. So I wanted to hit this one first, but here's what I'm going to tell you about it. I'm not going to knock your hazelnut latte, but what I am going to do is tell you that a lot of people spend a lot of money on a liquid kickstart to their day, right? And coffee is also, an energy drink to some. So take those with the same level of check on your life to say, do either of those apply to me? Am I spending a lot of money every morning on my morning coffee or my energy drink, right? Think of them the same. They're both between $2 and $7. Both of them are between $2 and $7. So that's kind of the first place that I want to identify and say that's probably the first place that you can really think on cutting, right? Like people have a habit of buying coffee or buying an energy drink first thing in the morning. And it's funny because I was talking to my wife today actually, and I was like, the crazy thing is that, I could go months without buying like a specialty coffee, right? Like I'm not into the lattes and all that, but I love a good pour over from a local coffee shop. Love it. But I could go months and never think twice about going to buy coffee, right? But if I have it one time, now it's now a new habit that's starting to form, and I'll be like, man, I just want to go try another coffee at another coffee shop, and then another, right? So it's one of those things that if you can just keep it out of your life, it kind of it's a little easier to stay out of your life, or at least that is to me, and maybe that is to a lot of people, but at least it is to me. But that's one place. One place that I wanted to make sure that we first identified and understood is the morning caffeine boost costs people a lot of money. Now, second place that I want us to focus on today is impulse buys. Think about this as things like you're in a store. You went to a store for a single thing, and all of a sudden now you're getting this other thing, right? And I don't want to think of impulse buys just as something that you buy at like clothing or electronics or like a thing. But I also want to take this and throw it at the grocery store, right? How many times are we going to the grocery store buying that like impulse thing that we didn't even come in there for, and then it just sits in the counter or it sits in the cabinet or the pantry or the refrigerator or whatever, and it just spoils, right? It just goes bad because there was never a plan for it. You just kind of like threw it in and like, I'll figure out a way to use this. I really want it. Like, so it's just one of those things. But think about impulse buys and think about where that may apply to your life. And then the last big one, the last category, this is probably the biggest one that fits into almost everyone's life, are subscriptions. And I, once again, don't limit this to like streaming subscriptions. Think about this like gym memberships. Think about this like other recurring charges that you have subscribed to something. They're taking money out of your account every single month, and some of it you may not even use anymore, right? So think about it from that lens, and that's where I want you to really think. So where did this thing come from? Where did this episode come from? Well, I was talking through with my wife, and I was like, man, I just love the coffee that I make at home. Love it. Right? I got into using an AeroPress. I've tried, the different methods, whether inverted or regular, AeroPress or whatever. Like, go check out AeroPress if you haven't. I'm not sponsored by them, but it's just it was just such a delicious cup of coffee. It was quick. It was easy to clean. It was, super, tasty, every morning making, grinding beans, throwing it in the AeroPress and making a quick cup of coffee. I got the AeroPress XL if you're curious, but that is the way, and I just loved it. And I was just telling her, I was like, man, so many people spend so much money on coffee, and it's, $5 to $7 a pop, right? $5 a day is like $150 a month, and that's almost $2,000 a year, right? And the more I thought about it, I was like, man, like what a waste of money. And if people are doing that daily. And so I went back and I looked and I said, well, let's see kind of like, where does that stand? So I found this, and this is just some coffee statistics out there. But this is just a couple. 31% of people will spend $11 to $20 a month on coffee to make at home, right? That's crazy. However, those that are buying it, $20 a month to make $11 to $20 a month to make coffee at home, while tons and tons and tons of people are spending $5-ish a trip for coffee to be bought at a store, right? At a coffee shop. It's nuts, right? It's nuts. And that was where I landed to say, man, people are spending so much money. And then they are thinking, well, I'm just, I'm living paycheck to paycheck and so forth. Like, I don't know how I'm going to pay my debt. I don't know how I'm going to invest. I don't know. Listen, if you can invest, if $5 a day is $150 a month, if you can invest $150 a month, and let's not even do that. Let's say you actually could go spend a little bit of money at a coffee shop, right? Let's say you go, I don't know, 10 times to a coffee shop in a month, right? Let's say that's $55 a day. Let's go $50, right? And you go 10 times a month. You still got $100 to invest. Right? You still got $100 to invest. So that's where I want people to kind of start to think about, where can I cut those little things? And that morning coffee, that morning energy drink, that morning whatever that you're kicking off your day with, a lot of people are going to say, well, that's kind of like, that gets my day started. That's me investing in my day. Sure. But if you ever have done any research on kind of a habit loop and how you get into that and how it lasts, that's really what we're looking at here, is that you have kind of fallen into a habit loop and you've got to get out of that habit loop. You're in this habit of where I need to buy that coffee or I need to buy that energy drink to get my day started, and you got to kind of change where that reward's at. And it's a truly, it's probably a small expense that seems like nothing that adds up so drastically. Think about it. $5 a day is almost $2,000 a year, right? $2,000 a year. So think about that when you're kind of going over that. Impulse buys, we all spend money impulsively in different, variations. So there's no real stats on that. So I can't really tell you how much that could really, change your life or not change your life. I don't know. You have to think of that one yourself, but it's just one of those little areas where if you're struggling and you're living paycheck to paycheck and maybe coffee's not your thing, but you're shopping and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, this looks nice and I'll just get this. And, oh, I want that, whatever at the grocery store. Let me get that. And, oh, let me shop on Amazon because my life is inconvenienced and I need this thing that'll make my life more convenient. Like, those are the little things that just add up. They add up. Do yourself like a little game. Play a little game with yourself. Here's the game. Log into Amazon. Go to your order history. Look at last year's purchases. Last year's. So we're in 2024. Go click on show me all 2023 orders. Start at the top. Scroll through. Look at those things and be like, man, yeah, 50% of this I could have done without. Right? 50% of it you could probably do without. Go look at 2022. Man, 75% of things you could probably do without. But what I'm getting after is when you're in the moment, it seems like I got to have this right now. But a year from now, when kind of the reality sets in and you think about it, you're like, man, like that $25, I could really have that back. Man, that $25, that $30, that thing, I didn't need that. And if you want to go one step further, go look at 2023, figure out everything you could have done without and add up how much it cost. See how much that cost you, right? Like, I don't know. Everybody's is different, but I guarantee you it's at least $100, like at least $100. And I'm banking that on you spend at least $10 on 10 items. That's how I'm coming up with that random statistic. But $10 on 10 items is how I got at least $100. But go add that up. I guarantee you spent a decent amount of change that could have been put towards not living paycheck to paycheck, having extra money to pay off your debt, starting to invest, like all those little things that you maybe complain about not being able to do. That's going to help you get there. the little things. Most people don't look at that as like, man, well, if I can't save 100 or I can't save 1,000, like why save anything? It's not a good mindset. It's not a good habit to start getting into. If you can save $20, if you can invest an extra $20 in your debt, that is the way to go. That is what you need to be doing. So think about that. Think about where you can cut in your life. Now, the next place is looking at streaming services. On average, people have 10 subscriptions and are paying close to $130 over what they actually think they're paying. So according to Forbes, average household spending $552 a month on subscriptions. That's not just streaming subscriptions, but other types of subscriptions as well. I found this article when I was looking through that said that if you subscribe to all of the streaming services up here, and it goes over like sports, and it goes over on demand like Netflix and Paramount Plus and all that kind of stuff, and then live TV streaming services and all those type of things. If you subscribe to all of them, for their cheapest plan, you'd be spending $688 a month. I thought that was like totally wild, because that is a ridiculous number for people to have available to them to stream, and that's not including is that including like Amazon Prime? Because I don't think I saw that in the list. Because most people pay for Amazon. Oh, it does have Amazon Prime $14.99. Okay, cool. Yeah. So let's say most people pay for Amazon Prime for the shipping, like free shipping or whatever, but they actually don't think about that, the streaming service. So anyways, that is a really big deal. That's a lot of money going to subscriptions. So that's one of those things where, man, I've done episodes in the past, and I've talked specifically about streaming services and different ways that you can kind of play that game. And one of the recommendations that I've continually went back to with clients and with episodes when I've talked about subscriptions is that you can subscribe to one streaming service, right? Like let's say we start with like Paramount Plus. Me and my wife watched, this is just totally a side channel, but on Paramount Plus, Mayor of Kingstown, what a great show. I mean, what a great show. You go, if you're into like some action-packed like stuff, go watch Mayor of Kingstown. As long as you are an adult or older, it's kind of probably not suited for kids, but go watch it. Such a great show. Come back to the comment section and tell me if I'm wrong, but it is. It's a great show. However, back on track with this episode is, one of the things that I recommend to clients and recommend on episodes is start with a streaming service like Paramount Plus and watch all the, watch the SEAL Team, watch the Mayor of Kingstown, watch all the different shows on there that you find interesting. And then when you kind of are running out of things to watch on there that you're no longer interested in, cancel that one and start up another one. So you're only paying for one subscription at a time, but you're watching everything that's available at the time for that streaming service, right? Like it's just a way to do it. It's not the way, but just a way that you can maybe cut back and only spend $10 a month on streaming and still be able to enjoy some of those shows that if you enjoy sitting down and watching TV in the afternoon or at night or whatever it is, with your spouse or kids, right? Like just one of those things. So not Mayor of Kingstown with the kids, but maybe something on like Disney Plus or something. So that's one of the ways that you can really help with the subscriptions. Now, some of the other things that you can do just holistically when we look at small expenses. Here's some of the things, some of the tips, some of the strategies to help you start to cut back and save in those areas. And the good part about the very first one that I want to recommend to you is that this will give you a very, very, very detailed answer into how much you would be able to, like in 1 month of doing this one thing, you would be able to see how much the next month you would have extra to invest, that you would have extra to pay off debt, that you would have extra to not live paycheck to paycheck. 1 month of doing this, and you will be able to quantifiably give yourself a number of what that is. And how you do that is track your spending. Track your spending. Look at a budgeting application, whether it's YNAB, whether it's Excel, whether it's Rocket Money, whether it's Quick and Simplified, Every Dollar, all these different Pocket Guard, like all these different budgeting apps out there. Find one that works for you and track your spending. One of the things that all of those applications allow for is for you to label transactions or add notes to. And if you will go in there and say, hey, man, this was a expendable item, or maybe this was a small expense, or maybe this was call it whatever you want, call it like an opportunity expense or whatever, like just come up with something that you can label these little small expenses that add up and label it, and do that for a whole month. And when that month's over, go back and add up how much you spent on those things, and trust me, the number will motivate you to want to make a change. It will, because you will identify, I'm going to go back to say 100. I don't know why. 100 just sounds good. 10 expenses at $10, right? Like there's a good chance that I could hit that. But you will find out that there probably is hundreds, plural, that you can put towards that thing that you have not been able to do, whether it be investing, saving for retirement, paying off debt. Like you will be able to cut that and go directly to there just by tracking and labeling or identifying those small expenses, giving yourself that motivation when you see that number to say, man, yeah, like I would rather this $300 a month go towards this other thing. But that's one thing. The other thing that you can do is start looking at ways that you can cut back, right? So you don't have to do all of these. These are just some ways, but you start identifying, you're like, man, I'm spending, $200 a month on coffee. Start making coffee at home, right? Start looking up like cool ways to make coffee. Like the AeroPress like changed my life. Maybe it's a French press for you. Maybe it's a pour over. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's a certain type of coffee that you just start to enjoy. Maybe you go YouTube how to make your own latte, and you start learning and having fun, like trying to make like lattes with latte art and make little flowers and whatever in your coffee. But go find something cool. Go find something fun that would make this enjoyable, not like this like just got to make my like little brew coffee, my little coffee mate at home, and like go figure out a way to making it fun. Making coffee at home fun, right? Maybe your little flower in your latte turns out terrible at first. Keep trying, right? Just keep trying until it becomes fun, until you find, a passion. Like if you enjoy lattes, I guarantee you, if you could figure out how to make your own at home, it would be phenomenal, right? Like if you love lattes and you can figure out how to make your own at home, it will be phenomenal. If you love coffee, figure out how to make and try different coffees. It's way better than going to Starbucks and getting their one coffee over and over and over again, right? So anyways, just a way. Another thing is packing your lunch instead of eating out. Like eating out at lunch is just one of those things that a lot of people do, but being okay with leftovers, like things like that are just easy ways to cut costs. Other thing is tracking those subscriptions that you're not using and canceling them. Stop thinking that you're going to use it. Just if you're not using it, cancel it. You can always start it back. It's just cancel it. Even if you only canceled it for 3 months, that's like $30 for most things. 10 subscriptions at $10 and you're at 100. See, it keeps coming around. But that's just a way. It's just a way. Just try it. I guarantee you it could work. But the biggest thing when it comes down to this is understanding needs versus wants. To cut small expenses, you have to start to realize that a lot of small expenses are not needs. They're all wants. Almost all of them become wants. Those little small things are not needs. They're most of the time not needs. And I'm saying most of the time because when I look at people's budgets, the needs are like the house, the fuel to get to work and back, the food, right? The fuel for the body, right? The health insurance, like those are the non-negotiables, and those are not cheap. Those are not those little pesky expenses, right? Those are well, food could if you're, hitting those impulse buys in the grocery store. Let me backtrack, but just fueling your body is not a small expense. If you're going out and buying groceries once a month, it's not cheap. So, or once a week or whatever. The biggest thing is to start to look for those areas of needs and wants and really focus on the needs, and then having a few wants here and there to enjoy life. Another thing is those questioning your purchases. You got to question purchases. Like, do I really need this before you buy it? I've talked about it before, but like a 30-day rule. Like, if there's something that's not essential to your life, wait 30 days and see if you still want it. And if you do, get it. There's a good chance you probably, will actually use it for a long time. But if after 30 days you forgot about it or you just don't need it, then, good job. Like, you save some money. But the reason to do this is really because a lot of people are not paying off their debt very quickly. A lot of people are not able to start an emergency fund, and they end up like getting in this rat race of they'll get their emergency fund going, and then a big thing will happen, and they fall flat on their face and they start over. They get their emergency fund and they fall flat on their face. It's really about trying to find a surplus of cash in your current life and start to leverage it to pay off debt, to add to investments, to start or build an emergency fund, to start to invest into retirement. It's just finding those little bits. It's just finding the little bits. Stop looking for $500 a month. Start looking for $50 a month. That's where you can make a drastic difference. Because in the first 3 months, it might be $50. But maybe in month 4 to 6, you were able to find another $25. And now you're at $75. And then maybe another $25. And now you're at that $100, right? It's finding the little things. It's finding the little things, because that's where you can make a drastic difference in your finances. So stop telling yourself, I need this. Stop telling yourself that you have to get this thing, and start asking yourself, do I really need this? Can I wait 30 days and see if I still need this? Can I not just go to Amazon and buy something every time like something is an inconvenience, and I can go buy this little gadget or widget to fix my inconvenience? Like, ask yourself those things, because those little purchases are what is leading so many people to paycheck living, having nothing to show for their hard work that they're putting in every day at work, not being able to save for retirement, not being able to pay off their debt very quickly, not being able to build an emergency fund. It's those little expenses that can start to push you in that direction. Now, what I did want to end this with is by saying, you are not going to become this drastically wealthy person overnight by cutting small expenses. I got it. I got it. You're right. If you that's the message you heard, you're right. Yes, that is not happening. But what this will start to do is it will start to make you think about those things, those little small things, and you'll question those. And then all of a sudden, the type of things you're questioning, you will start having the capability to question larger things, and then larger things. And then eventually you will look at your car that you're paying $500 a month on, and you'll be like, man, like, I really don't even need this car. Sounds crazy right now. I know. You cut the latte for a year, and all of a sudden the way you think about money will start to drastically change. Like, it will. I guarantee you it will. So start to cut the little things. The little things will grow to be medium-sized things, and then you'll be cutting the medium and the little things. And then all of a sudden the medium things will start to cut to be larger things. And you will start to build the habits that are necessary to make tons and tons of progress on your investments, on paying off your house, on getting out of debt, on saving for retirement, on building emergency funds, on saving for kids' college. Like, all those things will start to become easier because you started with the little things. And that's the message that I wanted to share today. So hopefully you got something out of this episode. Hopefully you really took something away. This is always one of those things where it seems like such a minute thing, but man, it can make such an impact. So hopefully you got something out and that you can start to apply that to your life. Now, if you are ready to take control of your finances and ensure you're on the right path to your financial goals, and you just need somebody to sit down with you and build a personal plan to reach your goals, head over to thefinancialmirror.org and hit book now. Schedule your free consultation today. We'll sit down, we'll determine which plan is right for you. We'll get you scheduled and on your way to reaching those financial goals. If you do want to give an extra dose of support to the stream, head over to thefinancialmirror.org/shop. Pick you up some awesome Financial Mirror gear. I truly appreciate everyone tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this episode. If you are listening to this on a podcast platform of your choice, don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review and a written comment. It's both go a long way in getting this information out to more listeners. Till next week, continue improving the one thing you can control, yourself. Peace.
Well, that wraps up today's Financial Mirror. Join us next week as we continue to work on ourselves, change our mentality, and to commit to achieving the success we always envisioned. Regardless of your platform, help us grow as a community. Please like, subscribe, and share with the people in your lives.